I actually am starting to think that Kick.com, despite its many faults, might be starting to shape itself into a real competitor to Twitch. If you saw my video last week on the decline of Twitch with the layoffs and their longtime CEO leaving, you probably know some of it. Basically, I think there are signs that Twitch might not be doing so well on the finance side. Nothing concrete though. But one reason for their downfall I didn't focus on too much was the rise of Kick.com, their newest rival. Today we're going to take a look at Kick and why I think it might actually become a real threat to Twitch in the long term. But first, what is Kick? Well, Kick.com is a live streaming site like Twitch, made by Trainwreck, a Twitch streamer, and some other partners. There was a lot of drama that led to the site's development, but it boils down to that there had been a lot of Twitch streamers who wanted gambling banned off twitch.tv. They didn't think it was good to expose young fans, or any fans, to gambling that could end up starting an addiction or causing them to lose money, which are valid concerns, though I don't see those same streamers coming out against the Twitch hot tub meta, which in my opinion is probably bad for young viewers as well. But anyway, there was a dude on Twitch named Slicker. He scammed a lot of big Twitch streamers, and even some fans, out of money, so that he could use that money to gamble, lose money gambling, rinse and repeat. This finally gave the ammo needed to the streamers who wanted gambling banned from Twitch, and they jumped on it like a kangaroo in a bouncy castle, renewing their calls for gambling to be banned. Now, despite the fact that the type of gambling that people wanted banned from Twitch was basically slot machine online gambling, and Slicker was actually doing completely other types of gambling, not really related to Twitch at all, this somehow convinced Twitch that they needed to ban gambling from the site. It was the kind of shaky, knee-jerk reaction that Twitch is famous for. And while a lot of people were very happy that Twitch decided to get rid of gambling, it put a number of creators who were doing gambling streams and may have had gambling sponsorships in a very hard spot. One of these streamers was Trainwreck, who had been gambling on stream for a while, and I guess he really liked doing it, because after causing drama by accusing one of the anti-gambling streamers of some serious crimes, he went on to take part in the creation of Kick.com. Kick launched with gambling explicitly allowed by the terms of service and is partially funded by the same people who run some of the popular crypto gambling sites. Interestingly, despite being called a co-founder virtually everywhere you look online, and being the face of the site, as well as the one who announces big news about the site, it seems like at least once, Trainwreck has said that he is a non-owner and non-exclusive broadcaster, which muddies the water a bit. Who really owns the site? It seems like maybe the crypto gambling sites might have a lot more influence than anyone wants to admit. At least that's my opinion. Hey guys, just interrupting quickly to remind you to subscribe. It really helps me out. Thanks. Back to the video. Notwithstanding your possible moral objections to using a site that allegedly seems to be owned at least in part by the same people who own bits of crypto gambling sites, being involved with those groups tends to help a lot with one thing: money. It doesn't seem to be an issue for Kick, at least so far, and that is the biggest factor leading to them quickly becoming a serious rival to Twitch. You see, Kick offers its creators a 95% split of the revenue that they make on the site, a 95-5 deal. Compare that to Twitch's measly 50-50 deal, or YouTube's generous 70-30 deal, and you can easily tell that it's going to be a draw for a lot of creators. You can make way more money, way easier, streaming on Kick, if you have a decent audience, than you can on either YouTube or Twitch. And at a time where Twitch is actively trying to move the few creators they have on a 70-30 deal back down to 50-50, you have to admit that the 95% is going to be a huge draw. Another thing Kick has over Twitch is a much more generous terms of service. Where Twitch's terms of service are arcane at worst and vague at best, that's not super hard to do, especially if Kick is able to avoid falling into the pitfalls Twitch has when it comes to rules enforcement, where gender and favoritism seem to play a big part on how strictly the rules are enforced. Kick does have some rules, mostly obvious ones, but for the most part, it makes Twitch look like an Amish village. In fact, it is so much less restrictive that even some of its biggest streamers were touting the platform as one without rules, where they can do anything, which was a mistake. Turns out that streamers, especially Aiden Ross, will want to test that theory, and, well, yeah. It ended up hurting the company's reputation big time. It started with Aiden Ross streaming the Super Bowl to his audience on Kick, which, unless he worked out some agreement with the NFL beforehand, is just about the stupidest thing you could possibly do. I'm still amazed he hasn't been sued yet. Then, as if it couldn't get worse, out of nowhere one day, Aiden Ross, who probably has a majority young audience, decided to stream himself briefly visiting an adult film website. That went over about as good as you think it did. It was terrible for the Kick brand image, to the point that it seems Trainwreck had to actually tell Aiden Ross that he couldn't actually just do anything, and that they did in fact have a terms of service agreement which disallows streaming adult content. But despite the controversy he brought with him, Aiden Ross moving over, while at the same time getting himself banned from Twitch, is a major win for Kick. Aiden is an incredibly popular streamer, though it seems like the mainstream LA Twitch streamer community doesn't like him or his audience much. So when he moved over, his audience, which did not want to watch the incredibly brand safe mainstream Twitch content from creators that probably disliked them, moved with him. This gave Kick not only a huge name on their roster, but it brought users too. On top of that, according to Aiden Ross himself, Kick paid him, quote, the biggest streaming deal ever to stream exclusively over there. Now, of course, the numbers aren't public, but when other streamers hear something like that, you better bet that they're not going to ignore it when Kick comes knocking. Now, it seems that Kick is expanding its list of big name streamers, with Trainwreck teasing 6 new signings on Twitter, saying, when these next 6 signings are announced, Twitch and all of its puppet fuckfaces will be shook. Now, we don't actually know who they are, but when making a bold claim like that, I don't doubt him. And people have been trying to guess who the streamers are, with everyone from Kai Cenat to Asmongold being mentioned as potential new Kick streamers. With how liberal it's using money, it's really a bad move to not stream on Kick, especially after Twitch relaxed their exclusivity rules last year. This might lead to a slow bleed of users from Twitch to Kick over time, since the more big streamers go over, the less they'll have a reason to go back to Twitch. But it does beg a question, surely they're not making a profit on Kick yet, right? If so, what's going to happen when the money runs dry? Or are they betting on the money never going dry? Which would be a very risky bet to make in this world economy. It's possible Kick runs out of money one day and has to change all of its deals away from the lucrative 95.5 deals that they have now. Heck, it's possible they spend too much and have to shut down. Who knows what the future holds for Kick? All I do know is that if I was Twitch, I'd be watching very closely what they're up to. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Kick, despite its scandals, will eventually shape up to be a real competitor to Twitch? Personally, I think that it will, especially if Train keeps bringing on big streamers. We will have to see who the 6 that he's teasing actually are, because that could make them an overnight competitor if they get the right people. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble. Have a great day, and God bless you.